You make $65,000 a year. That's more than your parents ever made. And yet, 3 days before payday, you're checking your account balance like it's a pregnancy test. $127. How? Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't your salary, it's the invisible math that happens between Friday and Monday. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact dollar amount where your brain stops feeling broke and why 73% of Americans never hit it, even when they get raises. There's a number, a specific threshold. Cross it, and money anxiety drops by 68%. Stay below it, and you're running on a financial hamster wheel disguised as a career. I'll give you that number in a moment. But first, you need to understand why your last promotion didn't fix anything. Because here's the trap: you don't have a spending problem, you have a cash flow timing problem. And that timing, it's engineered against you. Picture this: you get paid Friday. By Sunday night, you've covered rent, car payment, groceries, that subscription you forgot to cancel. You feel responsible, proud even. Then Wednesday hits. Your friend's birthday dinner, $80. Thursday, your check engine light comes on, $340. Friday arrives again. You're back to $200. The cycle resets. You're not bad with money. You're trapped in a system designed for people who already have money. Let me show you the architecture of this trap. Let's do the math nobody ever shows you. Average American salary, $60,000 a year. After taxes, about $45,000. That's $3,750 per month. Now, watch how fast it disappears. Rent in a mid-tier city, $1,400. Car payment, $450. Insurance, $200. Groceries, $400. Utilities, $150. Phone, $80. Student loan minimum, $280. We're already at $2,960. You have $790 left. Gas, $200. Streaming services, $45. Gym, $50. Now you're down to $495. That $495 has to cover everything else: clothes, haircuts, going out, birthdays, emergencies. On paper, you're fine. You're paying your bills, you're making it. But here's the invisible killer: timing. Your rent is due on the 1st, your car payment on the 5th, your credit card on the 15th. But your paycheck, it comes every 2 weeks, split awkwardly across your entire bill cycle, so you're constantly playing catch up with money you technically earn, but can't actually use. That gap between when money arrives and when money is demanded, that's what I call the cash flow gap. And it costs you real money every single month. Now, if you think the solution is just budget better or cut out lattes, you've already fallen into the first trap. Here's something that's going to sound controversial. Budgeting is advice for people who already have a buffer. When you're stuck in the paycheck trap, a budget is like telling someone who's drowning to just swim better. What I'm about to show you is the real difference between people who have money and people who are rich. And it has nothing to do with income. I know people making $45,000 who feel calmer about money than people making $120,000. The first group escaped the trap. The second group just upgraded their prison cell. And here's where it gets worse. You get a raise, $10,000 more per year. Congratulations. Here's what your brain actually does. It doesn't think $10,000. It thinks $833 per month. Then it divides again. $416 per paycheck. And $416 feels harmless, manageable, safe. So you upgrade. Better apartment, nicer car, maybe a few subscriptions. You tell yourself, I deserve this. But here's what just happened. Your cash flow gap didn't shrink. It expanded. Your rent goes from $1,400 to $1,850. Your car payment jumps from $450 to $680. You're still living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer countertops. This is what I call lifestyle creep syndrome. And this is the moment most people lose the game and don't even notice because it feels like progress. It looks like success. But financially, nothing changed. Before I show you the math that should haunt you, let me know in the comments, what's the phantom expense draining your bank account right now? Is it the constant food delivery or that one subscription you totally forgot to cancel? Now, here's the math that should haunt you. If instead of upgrading, you had banked that $833 for just 6 months, you'd have $5,000. That's the number I teased earlier. Actually, let me be precise, between $5,000 and $8,000. According to Federal Reserve data, having $5,000 to $8,000 in liquid savings creates a real psychological shift. Stress hormones drop, decision making improves, you stop operating in survival mode. And yet, only 37% of Americans have that much cash available. Not investments, not retirement, just money you can access without panic. The distance between financial anxiety and financial peace is about $6,500. For most people, that's 3 months of the raise they immediately spent. But there's something even more expensive than lifestyle creep. It's what happens to your career when you're trapped. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you can't take risks. You can't quit the toxic job. You can't negotiate hard because you need this Friday's check to clear. You can't take the 3-month contract that pays 40% more because there's a gap in income. You become financially handcuffed to mediocrity. I call this the opportunity cost of survival mode. And it's not just about money you don't make, it's about the person you don't become. How many times have you stayed quiet in a meeting because you couldn't afford to upset your boss? How many ideas died because you couldn't float yourself for 90 days? The paycheck trap doesn't just keep you broke, it keeps you small. In about 60 seconds, I'm going to give you the step by step to break this cycle. Not theory, actual moves. But first, you need to understand the paycheck illusion that's draining your account right now, today, while you're watching this. Here's what's happening. You think you make $65,000 a year, but you don't. Not really. You make $65,000 minus every fee, every interest charge, every convenience cost that comes from not having cash on hand. Overdraft fees, $35 each time. Late payment fees, $25 to $40. Interest on that credit card balance you're paying down, 24% APR. The average American in the paycheck trap pays $1,200 per year in these poverty penalties. You're making $63,800, but it feels like $50,000. And here's the cruelest part. The system charges you more for being broke. Can't afford the annual membership? Pay monthly at a 30% markup. Can't buy in bulk? Pay the premium per unit price. Can't float a security deposit? Pay higher rent month to month. Being poor is expensive. Being paycheck to paycheck is a subscription service you never signed up for. Now, let me show you how to cancel it. This is what I call the escape velocity method. Not a budget, not a side hustle, a systematic extraction from the cycle. Here's the framework. Step 1, the micro buffer. Month 1 to 2. Your first goal isn't $5,000. That's too far away. It'll demotivate you. Your goal is $500, just $500, sitting in a separate account, not for emergencies, for friction. This $500 has one job: stop the timing problem. When your car insurance hits 3 days before payday, you pull from the buffer, Then, on payday, you refill it immediately. You're not spending it, you're rotating it. This eliminates overdrafts, kills late fees, breaks the cycle of emergency credit card swipes. How do you get $500? You don't save it, you redirect it. Here's what I mean. Look at your bank account right now. See those pending charges? Food delivery, impulse Amazon, subscriptions you don't use. You're going to do something uncomfortable. Delay one gratification per week, not eliminate, delay. That $40 DoorDash order, cook tonight, order Friday. That $80 jacket, wait 1 week. If you still want it, buy it. This isn't deprivation, it's decoupling impulse from spending. Most people save $60 to $120 per week just from this. That's $500 in 5 to 8 weeks. And here's what most financial advice won't tell you. That first $500 is harder than the next $5,000. Why? Because you're fighting years of conditioning. Your brain is wired to spend what you see. But once you break that pattern, everything shifts. Step 2, the inflation shield, month 2 to 4. Once you have your $500 buffer, you're going to feel something weird. Space, mental space, breathing room. Your anxiety around money will drop noticeably. Don't celebrate by spending. This is where most people reset the trap. Instead, do this. Automate $50 per paycheck into a second account. Not savings, not investment, just separation. You're building what I call the inflation shield. This is money that protects you from your own lifestyle expansion. When you get a raise, you won't feel it in your checking account, so you won't spend it. It'll flow straight into the shield. In 6 months, you'll have $600 to $800 extra. You didn't feel it leave, but it's there. Here's the psychology. Out of sight isn't just out of mind, it's out of your spending pattern. Your lifestyle adjusts to what's visible, not what's actual. That's why people making $100,000 feel just as broke as people making $60,000. They see it all. They spend it all. Step 3, the trap exit, month 5 to 12. Now you're going to do something that sounds backwards. You're going to give yourself a bonus. Take $300 from your inflation shield and spend it on something you actually want. Nice dinner, weekend trip, new headphones. Why? Because deprivation doesn't work long term. You'll snap, binge, reset. But controlled release? That builds sustainability. You just prove to yourself that you can have both security and enjoyment. Now, here's the final move, the opportunity fund. Every dollar beyond $1,500 in your combined buffer and shield goes into an account labeled opportunity, not emergency. Opportunity. This is career capital. This is, I can take that risky project money. I can negotiate because I can walk away money. I can quit and find better money. This is the difference between having a job and having options. Within 12 months, if you follow the system, you'll have $500 rotating buffer, eliminates fees. $1,000 plus inflation shield, absorbs raises. $2,000 to $4,000 opportunity fund, creates freedom. You just went from paycheck to financially flexible. Same income, different structure. And here's what happens next. Opportunities start appearing, not because the world changed, because you can finally see them. That freelance gig, that career pivot, that business idea, they were always there. You just couldn't afford to notice. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't about becoming rich. It's about becoming untrappable. The paycheck trap works because it's invisible. You think you have an income problem, you actually have an architecture problem. And the people who escape, they don't earn more at first. They restructure the flow. If this hit you differently than the usual budget better advice, subscribe. I break down the systems that keep people stuck and the frameworks that actually create change. But more importantly, open a second checking account today. Doesn't matter which bank, free account. Name it Buffer. That's the first move. Everything else builds from there. The paycheck trap is real, but it's not permanent. You just learned the exit. Now build it.